Hey there. Today I would like to look at this book with you. It's a recipe book and it's called Österreich Vegetarisch. So it features typically Austrian recipes and they're all vegetarian. This is from a series, so there's also books on German cuisine, on Italian or Turkish cuisine, and I think it's pretty popular. I think it's a really nice addition because Austria is a country where people traditionally eat a lot of meat. So especially when you go to restaurants in more rural areas, you might have trouble getting any vegetarian dishes, or there's a very small choice. Luckily, this really has changed over the last couple of years and it's gotten a lot better. But for many people, it's still a bit of an issue to actually think of typically Austrian recipes that are not deep fat fried mushrooms or breaded cheese. And don't get me wrong, I like mushrooms and I do like breaded cheese, but it really is quite a lot to eat. So let's see what's in there. They have 5 chapters, one for spring, for summer, for autumn, for winter, and 1/5 season with recipes that you can cook any time of the year. We're currently heading into autumn, so I'd say let's start there. Here we are. I'm going to start by reading you the names of the recipes and then we're going to look through them. So we start with appetizers, then we have main courses, sweet main courses and desserts. This is one of the special things about Austrian cuisine, that you can have desserts as a main course. I'm a big fan, I have to say. Alright. We have Krautsuppe, eingelegte Steinpilze mit Zitrone, Zellersuppe mit Stangensellerie, eingelegte Salzzitrone, Kürbiscremesuppe mit eingelegtem Kürbis, eingelegter Kürbis, Bohnensalat mit Jungzwiebel und Kernöl, Rotkrautsalat mit Preiselbeeren, Topinambur Pastinakensalat, einbrennende Erdäpfel mit Gurken, Erdäpfelpuffer mit Knoblauch, Bröselknödel mit Champignonsauce, Krautfleckerl, Paradeiskürbis mit Ofenerdäpfeln, Fleckerl in rote Rübensaft mit Grünrahm, geschmorter Lauch in Gemüsesaft mit Perlweizen, Rotkraut mit gebratener Erdäpfelpalatschinke, Schwammerlsuppe, gefüllte Kürbisschnitzel mit Sellerie-Kohlrabi-Salat, Erdäpfelroulade mit Kürbisragout, Erdäpfelschmarrn mit Kohlrabi und Kräuteröl, warmes Bohnenpüree mit Pfefferoni. gebackene Apfelspalten mit Preiselbeerkompott, Zwetschgenfleck, Zwetschgenknödel mit Nougat und Boviltaschel. Und zum Schluss Apfelmus, Zwetschgenröster, Zwetschgenkompott, Maroni-Reis und Apferschlangel. Alright, let's have a look. We start off with Krautsuppe. This is cabbage soup, and it's made with 1 teaspoon of paprika. You can use some smoked paprika if you like. So that's how it gets this really nice dark color. It looks really tasty. I've never made this, but I think I'm going to try it soon. Then we have pickled mushrooms with lemon. These are, I think they're called porcinos in English. And I have to say, I've never had pickled any kind of mushroom in Austria, so this is new to me, but it's of course possible that it's from a particular region that I don't know as well. Here are preserved lemons in salt, and here I know for a fact that they might be very tasty, but I'm sure that this is not a traditionally Austrian recipe. As far as I know, it's from Morocco. Over here we have celery soup. It says it's quite light and brings a lot of freshness. You use a little bit of nutmeg with it and some cream, and if you feel like it, you add just a little bit of lemon juice. Right here we have a picture of pumpkin soup. This is a really nice color, I think. And in Austria you would traditionally have it with pumpkin seed oil. It's a specialty from Styria. It's really good. And of course you can also make some pickled pumpkin. You just use vinegar, water, some sugar, cloves, allspice, bit of ginger, bit of aniseed, and your pumpkin. You have to let it rest for at least 2 months, and if you keep it cool and dark, it lasts up to a year. So that's a pretty good way to keep your pumpkins if your garden gives you too many to use. Here we have a bean salad. It says these are small white beans, like Wachtelbohnen, I think. But the classical recipe, the typical recipe, would use different ones. Käferbohnen. I think there's a picture later on where I can show you. Let me see if I can find it. Here. These are Käferbohnen. And that's the traditional recipe, and I think they just look so neat with that little pattern here. Like the little pink Dalmatian dogs. They're really cute. I haven't had them in a long time. Looks pretty tasty. And here it says the secret to preparing your beans is to cook them very, very slowly 30 to 40 minutes. That's how they get soft. Here's another salad with red cabbage and some Preiselbeeren. I think it's a type of cranberry. Don't know if it's the same or a different sort, but I think that's what gets closest to Preiselbeeren. And with red cabbage, you would also always add some apple. Here we have another salad. It's made with topinambur and pastinaken. So these are parsnips, and this is a beet, sort of like potatoes, but it has a bit of a stronger taste. I have to say, I didn't know what these were until about 2 or 3 years ago when a supermarket started featuring them in one of their special assortments. I've tried them once, but it's not really my thing. On the other hand, I didn't really have a recipe, so maybe I would like them in this kind of salad. I'll give it a go. Right, here are different recipes with potatoes. This one's a bit odd. It's a play on a Viennese recipe called Einbrennende Hund. Einbrennen is basically a roux. This would mean, in German, it's a play on burn. It's like burnt dogs in a way. So you would need potatoes, and you would cook them and then add a cucumber and gherkins. Sounds really odd to me. I've never had this, and I don't think I've ever seen it in a restaurant. But I'm kind of curious about it. These are potato fritters with garlic. That's a bit more traditional. Here we have the first of many, many dumplings. These are made with breadcrumbs. So all we could use is butter, some salt and nutmeg, 4 yolks and 4 eggs, and breadcrumbs. That's it. And these are in a mushroom sauce that also has a really nice color. They used some tomato puree in it to get it. Right now, this is one of my favorites. Krautflecker. It's caramelized cabbage and these small bits of pasta. They're called Flecker. I think it's a typical Austrian shape of pasta. You can also make them yourselves. This is really, very nice. And the important part is that you really take your time. So the onions and the cabbage have time to caramelize. And in the end, you can add a little bit of sour cream if you feel like it. Here's a baked potato with some pumpkin, some more flicker, These are the little squares of pasta with red beets juice and horseradish in cream or in sour cream. I do like red beets a lot, I have to say. Alright, this is braised leek with Perlweizen. The translation I found said it's a type of bulgur. But here, bulgur is something else too, compared to Perlweizen, so it's two different things that you can buy. So I don't know, it might be the same type of preparation for both Perlweizen and bulgur. I don't know too much about that. But either way, it looks pretty tasty. And you can probably use a different kind of rice or bulgur, and it would turn out just as good. Right, here we have some recipes, again with red cabbage and the mushroom sauce. Here we have Redhead Pumpkin. I think there's a filling in the middle, right? It's cheese in the middle. It's almost like a cordon bleu. Very vegetarian version. If you want, as you can also use different cheeses like Blauschimmelkäse, so ones with a much stronger taste. And they recommend that you have some white wine with it. This is a recipe again with pumpkin and lentils. I have tried this because I think it looks really neat, but it was a bit much work for me, so it's something that I would make if I have guests over, but probably not for myself. Right. Some more potatoes. And then we're getting to the sweets. This is a baked apple with cranberry compote. Zwetschgenfleck. The dough is made with yeast, so it's light and fluffy, and then you would add plums or apricots, or you could also add apples or maybe cherries in summer. Whatever is ripe and whatever you have available. There's a lot of recipes that you can make with plums, like dumplings. These are Boviltaschel. They are filled with Bovidel. It's a type of jam that you would make with plums and different spices. And this is something that came to Vienna a long time ago during the monarchy. You can still hear it in the name. It's from Bohemia, so from what's today part of the Czech Republic. This I only know from ice cream places. It's made with mahoney and with ice cream, obviously. And here's a version of Apferschlangel, which you probably all know. But I think this uses a different kind of dough. That's why it's called Apferschlangel. And it says the recipe is from the author's aunt Hertha from the Traunviertel in Upper Austria. And it's the first time that it got published here. You can tell it's from Upper Austria because it uses a bit of must. And that's a specialty from the region. It's basically like cider. And they make a lot of it in Upper Austria. And there it's with alcohol. But if you were to buy must in Vienna or Lower Austria, so in other regions, it's more like juice and doesn't have any alcohol in it. Alright. Then you already get to winter, but I think I want to look at something else. I know there's some really good recipes here in the back. Like Kaiserschmarrn. It's one of my favorites, and you can definitely have this all year round. All you need is milk, flour, eggs, a bit of sugar and butter, and if you like, you can add raisins. I think it's important to beat the eggs so it's light and fluffy. This looks like they might have used more eggs than I would. It has a bit of a darker color because of the yolks, but you can switch that up whichever way you prefer. You just pour the dough into a pan and then tear it apart with a fork. It's really good and really easy to make too. Then we have Palatschinken. So pancakes, but they have to be really, really thin. It's a bit like French crepes. And you would often get them filled with apricot jam. But there's also different versions. For example, you can fill them with nougat or with Topfen. That I think translates to Quirk. Like a fresh white cheese, a bit like cottage cheese. It's used quite often in Austrian cuisine for desserts. Or here you have a different version, Frittaten. So you would make pancakes and then cut them into little slices and put them in your soup. It's very popular and really tasty. Here we have Bordeln. These are made with yeast and they're filled with either Provil jam or you can also use apricot jam and add some vanilla sauce. Sometimes when I want to treat myself, I buy these at the local bakery around the corner. This is called Scheiterhaufen, and it's a great way to use up bread rolls or maybe even croissants that you might have from the day before. Just cut them in slices, add apples and raisins, then you pour some milk, eggs, and if you like some cream, and bake it all in the oven. Alright, I think this might be the last one. I love this. Germknödel. They are yeast dumplings. Usually they're pretty big, so they would really fill your plate. And they're also filled with bourvil, with plum jam. And you serve them with butter and poppy seeds and sugar. I don't find them too heavy because you make them with yeast, so they're quite light in texture, but you can't eat more than one. Let's see. Some more sweets. Alright, this is the final one, and we can't skip these. These are Topfenknödel mit Butterbröseln. So, Quirk dumplings with breadcrumbs and butter. This is really, really good. You can also fill them with apricots or strawberries or nougat. I know a friend of mine who put pralines inside, and then you have some melted chocolate. But the traditional recipe is with apricots, Marillenknödel. I've only made it once in my life when I was living abroad, and I missed them so badly. I started making Marillenknödel. The dough is always a bit of a mess to make, but it was definitely worth it. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe it inspired you to try some new recipes. So I wish you a good day or a good night, and I'll see you next time.